Meinerseits erstmal herzlich willkommen hier in der Dezentrale zur heutigen Veranstaltung über politische Partizipation von Migranten, Flüchtlingen und Asylbewerbern. Wir fangen jetzt auch schon direkt mit dem Programm an. Es sieht wie folgt aus. Es findet eine kleine Einführung des Teams statt in die Dezentrale und was das hier überhaupt ist. Und dann werden wir einen Vortrag von Herrn JustinFonku hören zu dem eben benannten Thema und dann steigen wir auch schon in die Podiumsdiskussion ein und haben hoffentlich eine sehr erhaltende und unterhaltsame Diskussion.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are very much welcome.
Bonsoir, mesdames et messieurs. Herzlichen guten Abend, herzlich willkommen hier bei der Silent University.
Well, I'll say a bit more. We are very delighted to have you tonight. And under the auspices of the Silent University, you are very much welcome. I'll tell you a bit of the story of what the Silent University is all about. It is a platform for migrants, it's a platform for refugees, and it's a platform for everyone. It is a platform where the silence that characterizes the academic immigrants is put to an end. It is a platform of communication between the immigrants and the German community.
Also herzlich willkommen, schön, dass ihr alle da sind. Wir möchten uns von der Silent University kurz vorstellen, möchten kurz erzählen, was wir sind, wer wir sind, was wir machen. Die Silent University ist eine Wissensplattform für Migranten, Geflüchtete, Ausländer, Deutsche, egal für wen, also eine Wissensplattform, um Wissen, das stillgelegt ist, wieder hörbar zu machen. Viele Leute können in Deutschland nicht ihr Wissen sozusagen mitteilen und ja, wir geben hier die Plattform, um dies machen zu können. Schön, dass ihr heute alle da sind. Wie Sie gerade gesehen haben, wir sind hier mehrsprachig und wir möchten wir machen einen Versuch im Prinzip, wir möchten mehrsprachig diese Veranstaltung halten und dafür haben wir auch hier diese Kopfhörersysteme. Also wer kein Englisch versteht, also der Vortrag von Justin wird gleich in Englisch stattfinden. Wer kein Englisch versteht, kann gerne Kopfhörer nehmen und genau, und danach kommen wir in eine Diskussionsrunde oder auch Arabisch, ist auch die Möglichkeit da. Wie gesagt, danach kommen wir hoffentlich in die Diskussionsrunde, wo viele Fragen und viele Anregungen sind. Dankeschön. Okay. Dankeschön.
Vortrag ist auf Englisch, wird übersetzt in Deutsch. Welche Sprachen sind die besser?
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to our presentation today in this series of programs in the Intercultural Week. This is a joint program between Silent University and Afro-Ghana. And our topic today is the participation of migrant and refugees and asylum seekers in the German politics. I did a presentation. We start with a small table of content that I will introduce the topic, and then we'll try to define some terms. Then we go into the German structures, what political structures we have here in Germany. Then we'll look at the participation possibilities of migrants and refugees here in Germany. We'll try to highlight some of the problems that these migrants can encounter. And we are going to look for a possible solution, and we don't have all of it. And that's why we have to go into discussion to see how we can find a solution. And we'll have a conclusion. So the question of migration of asylum seeker is still hot in public today debate, despite the drop in the number of compared to the record-breaking year 2015. Reception is still with mixed feeling. Thank God the majority is still there with the welcome spirit that welcomes him. But there are a few minorities who are still showing a lot of intolerance, fear for the new immigrant. The immigrant community is cosmopolitan and full of talents, including political and organization talents. The German society is multicultural and democratic, but this multiculturality is still very wanting in institutions, especially in politics. In a democracy, all the citizens are expected to actively or passively participate in the democratic process of governance. The question is that the case in Germany? Can migrants and refugees participate in this German politics? To continue with the introduction, I try to give you a reflection of what do we have here. Where is the population? And as you can see the figures, that the number of Germans with migrant background is increasing. They're getting up to 19 million. But when we look at this 19 million, the question is coming, are we represented, especially in the institutions, the political institutions? And then you follow some the graph about what is the representation here. So you can see the figures and judge for yourself what we have to do. Then I developed some theses for us to better understand our presentation. So the question of this debate since 30 years, establishing Germany as a migrant country. Yeah, it is fact yet, but is it a normality to find migrant in a post of responsibility? Is the empirical situation a reality? What are the political structures? Are these structures open to migrant, refugees, asylum seekers? Do they represent the changing German society? What are the participatory requirements and the representation possibilities? Do they encounter problems? What are the possible solutions? So I try to make it a bit different, try to define some terms where there's a mixed understanding, especially migrants who come here in Germany. I want to say politics comes from the Greek word politicus, which stands for, or which represents relating to citizens. There are many, many definitions to politics which can be defined from the state of power and society. There are two forms of politics which you want to define. What you call formal politics, that is the situation where you have publicly defined institutions, procedures, government system, political parties, etc. Or you can have the other informal politics in anything that affects life, as Peter and Jefferson described. Then we come to the two standard way of defining politics. That's the normative definition, which we use three key terms to define. One, polity, which is the structures. Policy, which is the content and the rules and regulation. Politics, which is the process of making that binding decision. And I'll give you a simple example. You can put that politics with this structure in every aspect. I take the common one, the home. In the home, you have the structure, which is made of a father, a mother, and the children. And in this house, you have rules and regulations that regulates the functioning of the house. Then you have a situation where, for example, the family decides to go on holidays. The father said it's good for us to go to Dublin because. The mother says, yeah, let's go to Hamburg because. Then the children said, no, we are born here, we've never been in Africa. Can we go there? And this is our reason. So that idea of choosing where to go to pass your holiday is a collective and binding decision which we define as politics. Yeah, when we come to the empirical definition, that's in reality what is it. Professor Lem describes it as all human activities that lead to establishing a collective and binding decision. Okay. Then I come to the word participation. What is participation? Participation is belonging, taking part. There are two forms of participation. So you have the active and the passive. The passive or passive politician is someone who wants to be elected, who wants to carry out rule. And the passive politician is the one who listens and who has that final decision of the vote. So if the passive politician does not take their responsibility very well, then they're going to make a mistake to choose a bad active politician, and consequently you have a bad politician. Then there are two forms in which you can define also participation. It can be conventional participation, that most of the time those who have registered status can do. That is, they can take part in the process of voting. They can also be elected. They can participate in referenda. They can participate as in the advisory councils and areas of dialogue. They can be member of a political party and could also form pressure groups and NGOs. Then there are other non-conventional forms where everybody can participate in asylum seekers, where you can join protest. You can also participate in demonstrations. And for example, when you are supposed to have maybe monthly money, and that monthly money is not coming, for what reason we don't have, so asylum seekers, you can also stand up together. Then we realize that political participation is the center of any democratic governance. Yeah, in the sense that first, it offers the individual opportunity to influence the outcome of decisions making, process whereby individuals and groups' interests can be defended. Secondly, political participation is commonly binding. In commonly binding decisions may have a socialization function in terms of enriching citizens, giving the feelings of belonging to where they are. Then I come to the formal term of democracy, where it's from the Greek word demokratia, which has to do with people and mass. So democracy is government by the people and for the people. And the government, which is the supreme power, is held by the people, and where directly or indirectly through their representation also. So in a democracy, hearing everybody's voice is the goal. Even if we do not like what our fellow citizens are saying. So we have to develop a sense of democracy. Then I come to define the target group. What is a refugee? A refugee is somebody who's been followed to his country because of his idea, his race, his religious beliefs, his nationality and political opinion, and also in the situation of social category, victims of either female genital mutilation, or fleeing from war or natural catastrophe. So when, in the process of applying for this refugee, at that moment it's called an asylum seeker. Then we go further to explain basic political structures in Germany. Germany is a social democratic federation of 16 states, politically organized from the level of the city, where you have a city administration headed by a mayor, and then you have a council, a parliament, made of councillors, and you have a district, also district councillors. There is also a judiciary wing in the council or the administration. From the city level, we move up to the state level, where in the state you have the state government, which is cabinet, headed by the president. Then you have the parliament and the judiciary wing, which work together. Then you move further to the federal states. The federal state is headed by the chancellor, we also have the president. Then we have a parliament also that consists of many parties, as you see. Then a judiciary that is very strong, that looks at the executive and control that nobody goes against the law. Yeah, after understanding the structures in Germany, political structures, we look at the possibility of participating. So when you want to participate, what do you need? You need the immigrant, first of all, have to have a self-satisfaction and to understand the political systems whereby he feels he can fit himself in. Secondly, active political participation through voting or participating in the public sphere. Thirdly, person being headed by authorities. Then we have also cohort and gender, which are one of the things that influences. You have to have good ideas, you have good values, and you have to have a good level of education to be able to articulate your ideas, to follow the debate. Then those who have social economic stand a better position. In this situation, I look at the politics in the third world, where they look at going to power as a place to go and get money from the treasury to fill their coffin. But here you have to have a certain standard that is not their objective. Then I try to look at where can you participate. So as an asylum seeker, as a migrant, you can participate in a situation where you have a trade union protest. You can also join the civil rights movements. You can also work in the administration if you like. You can also be a member of the state council, the state parliament, and other. Then some of the problems that might arise for migrants who are just coming is that politics is always seen as a taboo. Take the case of Africa, where politics is seen to be an elitist situation. When you are not an elite, you can't go into politics. And that you are always above the citizen. That can be a problem here because the leader is seen as somebody who has to be with the people. And sometimes there's lack of interest and motivation because of this back notion back home. So there are also recent increasing burning of asylum homes have been some factors that discourage some of the migrants to come into politics. There are societal prejudice. We have a monocultural society in a plural cultural society that is a bit difficult to bring through. Then there is the question of identity, where people lack confidence and sometimes feel like they cannot be accepted, or in one case from the side of the migrant and from the side of the indigenous. they don't have the ability to hold posts of responsibility. So when most of the migrants also have to go into the situation where they will have adequate political qualification, and because of the political bureaucracy also, there's a problem. Then most of us come from a situation where we have a dictatorial regime, and so this transition into the democracy is a big problem. For example, the police in this our society is a guardian to somebody who finds himself lost, but in our situation back home, police is seen as a symbol of terror, and that brings some sort of fear within the migrants. Then not to talk about the language barrier, which is a handicap, and then the adaptation to information and communication. Most of the time we are used to mouth-to-mouth propaganda, but here you have to do a lot of reading, you have to watch the newspaper, so you have to adapt to come to this system. Then we try to look at a possible solution, how to now you're going to expand more in our discussion. So you have to have an adaptable political education. Then you have to, there should be an encouragement to be active or passive political participation by our migrants. Politics should be seen as a daily social, societal management for all. Politicians are members of the community, including migrants. So better internal immigration policies can encourage, and institutions should make a way for migrants to come in. Then the migrants should be bridge builders and as transcultural initiator for the international politics among the countries of origins and Germany. So better integration laws will make more migrants come into politics. And then special, strong anti-racial discriminatory laws are also recommended. Yeah, so these migrants, what can you contribute in the global political sphere? First, coming here as asylum seekers, you are an ambassador to signal that there's a situation, a problem in the world. And secondly, the German society and the immigrants should work together for a cohesive society. Policy making on integration is commonly and primarily a matter of concern for the receiving state, with very little regard to the role of the sending state. Migrants belong to two places. First, they are the country where they come from, and secondly, where they find themselves. Integration takes place in the latter. Migrants maintain a variety of links with the former and new country, which means they allow a communication between their home and Germany. Then, seeing extra-national as a strategic resources that has to be transformed by all the immigrants, interact with their home countries, and transit political linkage and activities that calls for transnational political practices. Yeah, we conclude our presentation today by asking every migrant to stay here in Germany, to be active or passive action in German politics. Migrants are strongly encouraged to take interest and to participate in politics. As part of the democratic community, they have a duty to be represented and an obligation to participate in the process of taking or collecting binding decisions. That's politics. Take the advantage of the open democracy and learn to be a bridge to the democratic advocacy of your country and the world. participatory democracy that involves everyone taking part in the collective management of the community affairs, we create awareness and responsibility among citizens, thus avoiding conflicts. I have a statement here, and somebody said migration is the mother of all problems in Germany. And then another person responded and saying that Seehofer is the father of all problems in Germany.